My sister, 20, got pregnant when she was 19 and she was with her boyfriend at the time. Her now ex was an old friend of mine. We weren't close, but had a few classes together in high school, college, so we talked every now and then. My parents did not have enough to support my sister and the baby. The baby was from cheating and the guy left her. Now, obviously, I think what she did was bad, but I don't think anything is the fault of the baby. So I decided to let her live with me until she can get on her feet again. We had an agreement where she would stay and study, work, but she would most definitely have to have her own apartment by the time she was near or after giving birth. She's 1 month along right now. We were on the couch watching a show and my sister started up a conversation. She mentioned how she's thinking of taking her ex to court for child support since she was already a month pregnant and they were technically still together. I was confused and asked if her ex was the father. She said no, but admitted that she's worried about money. Now, I'm sure we all know how it goes with a guy having to pay child support for a child that's not theirs, just because they were still together when the pregnancy happened. As a guy, this made me angry, and I asked if she was serious. She said yes, and that she needs the money badly as she doesn't think she can support herself once moving out. I told her that I think what she's going to do is duck up, and that since that's the case, I don't want her living with me. She was confused and asked, what the duck? I told her that if she's going to make a random guy pay for her child, then she can live on her own. I feel personal to this, as this is seriously one of the worst things that can happen to a man, in my opinion, and the fact that my sister is willing to do that makes me not want to support her. I told her I want her gone in 2 days, and that I'll pay for a week at a hotel, but after that, she's on her own. She says that I'm taking this way too personally, and that she won't pursue the court chasing then. I told her no, as I don't know if she'll do it after moving out, so I can't trust her. Where I think I might be the a-hole, telling my sister to leave if she's going to make a guy pay child support unfairly, not letting her stay, even if she says she won't do it then. Where I think I might not be the a-hole, I don't know if she'll press the charges after she moves out, so she could just be lying. And if she's going to force a guy to start paying them, she can definitely find her own rent. I feel like she's going to do this regardless. Not the a-hole. Also, your sister is delusional if she doesn't think this guy is just going to get a paternity test. Your sister isn't going to get a dime from this guy. Not the a-hole. She wouldn't be able to go after her ex anyway. The court would order a paternity test and she'd have to come up with the real father if she wants support. Not the a-hole. I would warn your friend that she mentioned this and let him know that he should take every precaution to make sure he's not listed on the birth certificate. Get a paternity test. Make sure he's not paying for a baby that's not his. My husband and I have been married for 7 years. My sister-in-law and husband share a father who's going to be abroad for 13 more months. Sister-in-law's mom is a drunk who never took care of her child, so we took legal guardianship of sister-in-law 2 years ago when she was 15. Sister-in-law is a troubled kid, but not a bad person at all. I try to go easy on her because I struggled a lot when I was her age, and I was hoping I could help her move past her crappy upbringing. It's been a challenging couple of years, especially since husband and I have been dealing with infertility for a while now and lost 3 babies over the course of 18 months, the last one at 15 weeks. I've been trying to come to terms with my infertility while helping husband through his depression as he's been recently laid off work. A week ago, sister-in-law came to me and said her period was late. She begged me not to tell my husband, and I told her of course we would keep it a secret until we knew for sure that she was pregnant. I took her to the clinic, and we found out she was 8 weeks along. I was surprised, and she admitted that she had stopped taking her birth control because it was giving her acne. On our way home, she told me that she wasn't willing to A. I told my husband, and to my shock, he was actually happy. He told her we would help her raise the child. I waited until she went to bed before I broke down in tears and told him that I wouldn't be able to handle it. I want her to move out. He exploded at me, calling me a selfish bee. He apologized later, but made it clear that his sister would stay with us. She has relatives living in another state who offer to take her in until her dad gets home, but husband doesn't want her to have to change schools. I know sister-in-law would not be able to take care of a baby, and that would leave my husband and I to do the work for her. She has no income, she doesn't even know who her father is, and isn't willing to adopt the baby out. Am I the a-hole for wanting her to move in with her aunt? I don't think I can look at her every day for the next 7 months knowing that she has something I can't ever have. I'm barely holding it together right now. I don't know what to do. Not the a-hole. But your husband might see it that way even though she's the a-hole. You are under no financial obligation to raise a child that you didn't ask for. It is your sister-in-law's fault for getting pregnant. There are other contraceptives past birth control, and it isn't unreasonable to want that toxic situation out of your family. Not the a-hole. First of all, your husband is the a-hole and way out of line. The decision to help her raise the child is one that the two of you should have made together. It obviously is not what you signed up for, and he's showing a major lack of respect for you by pushing this issue. He's not only being insensitive to the emotional harm this is causing you with regards to your own struggle with getting pregnant. I'm sorry this is happening. However, you need to make it clear that you will not raise someone else's child, especially when there are other family members who are better equipped in many ways, and most of all, willing to take on that massive burden. Not the a-hole. 8 weeks along, doesn't know the father, unwilling to A. Also stops taking her birth control because it gives her acne. Kid is not being responsible here and doesn't realize how drastic of a change a baby can cause. If it is bothering you this much, really try to emphasize this to your husband. Don't be quiet about it, or else people will assume you are okay with it. I was adopted at birth. I reconnected with my birth mother and her 2 kids, my half-siblings, same age as me, a boy and a girl, at 19. Had 4 years of visiting every couple of months, and she felt like an aunt to me. Her kids and I were always very friendly and hung out. She died very suddenly after 4 years of knowing her. I flew out to attend the funeral. I had met a couple of extended family, but mainly just knew the half-siblings and my birth mom's husband. The immediate family put me in the obituary as a surviving child, which was very touching and not something I had expected. The day of the funeral, aside from the grief, I felt very unsure of where I stood, figuratively and literally. I ended up lingering with the cousins in the receiving line, or whatever it's called. My half-sister made a point to tell me I should speak at the funeral if I wanted to. Anyone could get up and speak. I got up to speak at some point. You know how people will crack a little joke at a funeral to relieve the tension? The guy before me had talked about how giving my birth mother was. So I got up and introduced myself and said something along the lines of, "He's right. She was so giving, she gave away a child to people who needed one." A couple people chuckled and I went on with my memories of her, etc. Afterwards, my half-sister was really cold to me. I figured she was grieving and left her alone. I flew home and she ignored all contact on social media and texting. She visited my city and didn't respond to my attempts to hang out. So finally I addressed it. She said next time I was in town we should talk. So next time I visit my own extended, adoptive family, we go to lunch. She unloads all this info on me. None of my birth mother's husband's family had known birth mom ever gave up a kid for adoption. Me speaking at the funeral and identifying myself had created a southern small-town scandal that clouded over my birth mom's death. She felt that my joke was awful and had to be fueled by me harboring resentment at being put up for adoption, and that I had lashed out at the funeral. I explained I was just trying to clear the tension and was probably not thinking very straight. She said she didn't feel we could be like sisters anymore. Since then, we follow each other on social media but do not talk. I haven't really talked to my half-brother since, though half-sister said he wasn't as bothered and wrote it off as the kind of thing their own mother would do. Stick her foot in her mouth. I feel that to put me in the obituary as a child and invite me to speak sent messages to me that everyone knew. I feel that if they had wanted me to hide who I was, they should have asked. And honestly, I would have understood. I maintained that my joke, while lame and ill-timed, was not inappropriate given the information I'd been given. Edit. The half-siblings are 2 and 3 years older than me. I was just generalizing above. Edit 2. Here's the timeline for those asking. Birth mom had a husband, had 2 kids. He died. She had a one-night stand and had me, put me up for adoption. Met another guy, married him. It's his family that didn't know about me. I don't know whether they kept it a secret or if it just didn't come up since it happened before they had met. He did know me. Not the a-hole, though I do have a darker sense of humor that makes me avoid the everyone sucks here from your joke. The main thing for me is the inequality in your collective communication. If they have a problem, they should have warned you or spoken to you immediately. The whole extended and secret drama thing always craps me with people when solutions are so close to come by. Not the a-hole. They listed you as her child in the obituary. If she wanted to keep you a secret, then she wouldn't have met you. If your family wasn't open about who you are and don't know you well enough to think you'd be a nervous joke maker, they shouldn't have asked you to speak at her funeral. Everyone sucks here. I don't think the joke was appropriate at all. I would have immediately taken that joke as you resenting her for giving you up for adoption. Other than that, you're not an a-hole for not knowing others didn't know you were adopted out. Like you said, you were in the obituary. It's easy to assume. If you were to bring up your relationship while speaking, I feel that would have inevitably came out. Anyway. I guess you can call me an influencer of sorts. I do hate that word, but it's what would best describe my side hustle. I'm a full-time law student and a part-time beauty blogger. I've actually gained a significant following on my Instagram during quarantine, so of late I've been getting a lot of sponsorships and deals with startups. Nothing too big, but I'm making money off it. Now, coming to my childhood and personal life, it has always been a mess. My dad married my mom on the rebound and cheated on her throughout the relationship with my ex-stepmom. They divorced this year. My mom and dad finally got divorced when I was 7 and my brother was 4. Now, what we found out this year is that our stepdad is actually our biological dad, something I already suspected. Adding to the mess is the fact that our stepdad is my dad's adoptive brother. My dad was adopted as a baby by my grandparents, who are Middle Eastern. My mom is the most basic white chick ever, and so is my dad with ginger hair and pale skin. We came out with dark hair and dark eyes, so yeah. My younger brother and I look really similar, and we get a lot of attention because of the way we look. The paternity revelation caused a lot of upheaval in the family, but me and my brother weren't surprised because it was something we had always suspected. We also love our stepdad, so it's not like we were traumatized. My dad also sired a love child, my older half-sister, with ex-stepmom while still married to mom. You get the point. There is no innocent party in the mess my parents made. Anyway, so I did this Instagram Live Q&A session with my followers, where this one kid asked me to drop my skincare routine. I honestly take very little care of my skin. I just drink lots of water and keep myself hydrated. When I told her that, she asked me the secret behind my beautiful golden tan glow. At that point I replied, I honestly don't know. It's in my genes. Gotta thank mom and dad for that. Later, I got a call from my dad saying that he was really hurt by my comment when he was actively battling this devastating news. I apologized for hurting his feelings, but also asked him to seek therapy to deal with the news, because that was our reality. He disconnected the call. My half-sister is really angry at me for my comment and thinks that I was insensitive with my therapy advice. Am I the a-hole? Edit. My brother was 4. Older half-sister was 8 years old when my parents divorced. Not the a-hole. I'm really confused by all the relationships here, but your parents made a huge mess of this, and you're not responsible for any of it. Why should you have to hide it? Not the a-hole. Despite the last part about therapy, I doubt you meant any harm by the genes thing. It was only intended as a passing comment to a curious follower. If your dad feels upset by what you said or genuinely thinks your words are directed to him, that's his problem. He wouldn't feel hurt if the whole cheating debacle hadn't happened after all. My girlfriend of 4 years comes from this big, huge Puerto Rican family. All of her siblings started having kids in their early 20s at most, and most of them have more than 3. My girlfriend has always told me she is child-free as a life choice, and I respect her for not following the norms of her family. There is a little niece, Anna, who my girlfriend has always been closest to, and she spent a lot of time at our apartment. We took her out on excursions, etc. I won't go into deep details, but recently I found out Anna is the daughter of my girlfriend, born when she was under 15 and adopted by my girlfriend's eldest sister. Since hearing the news, I've been very uncomfortable with having Anna at our apartment, and it's caused some arguments with my girlfriend. In the most recent one, I opened up about my feelings and told her that I feel she deceived me about being child-free, that it's irresponsible to just abandon her child then expect her to be her auntie, and that I'm apprehensive about her trying to slide the child more and more into our lives. She completely refused to talk this out with me and address my, I think, reasonable concerns. And it ended with me banning Anna from the apartment until I get some answers about this whole situation, which I feel very betrayed about. Girlfriend and her entire family are now treating me like I'm some kind of org, and I can see the point of view that there's a bond between them, etc. That doesn't make me any less upset about being thrown into this situation. I think it's within reason for me to prohibit the child from our home until some conclusion can be reached. But am I the a-hole? Yes, the a-hole. She was under 15. You mentioned it was an older man and gang-related. Let's call it what it is. R. She was a child and this person an adult. She gave birth and gave the child up for adoption. She is Anna's auntie. I can understand why you were upset-ish, but she doesn't owe you a heavily detailed look into her trauma. At all. This is a chapter of her life that is closed. As she said, you are essentially asking her to punish the girl and herself by cutting contact and stopping an already established and close relationship because of her past trauma. You weren't uncomfortable with it when she was just auntie. Yes, the a-hole, for implying your girlfriend deceived you when she told you she was child-free. That child was born before your girlfriend was even old enough to give consent. You think that's a choice she made? Also, your implication that she is trying to somehow slide this child into your life after all this time is gross. If you banned my niece from my house, I'd probably treat you like some kind of org too. No one has betrayed you. Get over yourself. Makes you a major a-hole. She gave her child up for adoption. That's it. That's all there is to it. Nobody wants or needs your garbage opinion on the matter, since it's already been done and decided and has been this way for years.